the chat
Yes.
too. You might want to take a look at. And the collaboration between you and Elizabeth will be amazing to see.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you.
absolutely.
So the next speaker is Leslie Gomez, and Leslie is going to share about grief to purpose and really more about her story. And Leslie's chapter is number 4 in the book. So welcome, Leslie.
Thank you for having me today to share my story, and hopefully it inspires many of you here who have gone through some kind of loss or traumatic experience and would be able to take that experience after having this conversation and helping it to help you stand firm in your purpose and your passion. So briefly, as I shared yesterday, when when people think of grief, they often think of death, right? But in my situation, it was different. It was, I had lost the thought of having a typical child. So that's where my loss came in. Not that I didn't love him, but because of the shock that happened, because throughout the pregnancy, I did not know that I was going to deliver a baby with Down syndrome. And at the tender age of 28, after thinking I was going to do all the things after I graduated from nursing school, I had my own plans. I had my plans to travel. I had my plans to buy this kind of car. I had a plan to buy a new home. But as I say to everyone, is that that superpower or God or whoever higher power that you believe in had a different plan for me. And this plan, the journey through that was very painful for me. Painful in not knowing, right, of the unexpected, how he would turn out, how I would protect him for the world was one of my major concerns. And I grieved so many years. For the first 6 months of his life, I cried every day, even though I had a supportive family. I cried even though my husband would say, hey, he's healthy. He has his 10 fingers. He has his 10 toes. But I was still grieving the loss of having a typical son. In my mind, this is what I was prepared to deliver. I had dreams for my son in my head. I had plans for him to, be at his soccer games, dreaming on, and that dream was broken. I felt robbed. I felt robbed of my motherhood. But that very journey, after going through, he's now going to be 18 years old. It took me 12 years to be able to talk about him without shedding a tear, to be able to share his greatness, his bright light that I feel like he's arrived on this earth for. And I definitely feel that he has a purpose because of how he arrived, because God only knows that if I had known that I probably wouldn't have had him any earlier, I probably wouldn't have had him. So I feel like God knew best. However, I also believe that, let me rewind, because of his presence, his experience, the nature in which he entered this world, it gave me more awareness of people. I was aware of people, but just more of people giving people grace, meeting people where they are in their lives, helping he just helped me with just honing in on the human species and how delicate we are and how much we don't give ourselves grace, how we don't, because our lives aren't perfect and we've gone through many things in our life, how we put ourselves in a box, how I felt like this experience helped me just go through the experience so that I can help women understand that no matter what you're going through, whatever experience, whether it's divorce, whether it's job loss, whether it's financial crisis, whether it's all the things that you could probably make up that would make someone stop showing up in their purpose, that I was there to help them bring that forth. So this particular journey of loss, so I went through all the 5 phases of grief: anger, bargaining, I can't remember them all, but I went through every last phase and it was painful. It was painful. I could not see through this situation. I prayed for the day that I would just be happy. I wasn't unhappy about him, but just being happy about what I received. Being able to understand that I couldn't change the situation, but be happy that he was healthy. Be happy that he had no medical issues. Be happy that he was a happy kid. He was a good kid. He still is a good kid. But because of that experience, it helped me to find my purpose in life. So what I'm saying to you is that when we encounter negative life experiences, when we encounter trauma, when we encounter generational trauma, that is the moment that you should ask yourself, just like Sorbel said yesterday, I couldn't agree more with her about when we encounter adversity. Instead of saying, why me? Saying, why not me? Because believe it or not, that situation is happening for a reason. It is not happening by chance. And what I've learned in this journey is that bad things happen to good and bad people. Because there was a time in my life I asked God, well, God, I am such a great person. I would give you the shirt off give anyone the shirt off my back. Why is this happening to me? But now I can't see my life otherwise. And if that hadn't happened in my life, I wouldn't be standing in front of you guys today. That is one of my motivating factors. So I want you to embrace every negative life experience, because through every situation is where we find our strength and is where we find our purpose. So I need you to dig deep in those situations and find the good. Don't stay too long on the bad, because that's where we get stuck at. That's just one experience that has impacted my purpose and has deposited into the passion I have for women, right? The passion I have for women to help them to understand, stop hiding in your business because of whatever you may have gone through. that people need you. The reason you went through something is for a greater good. And what is that? Because people need to hear it. You are not in business for just one reason. There is a reason why your brand, your business was created. And when you get into those low spaces of going back into whatever painful situation that is, I want you to ask yourself, why not me? And why could this possibly be happening to me? What can I take from it that I can apply it to the work that I do? So when I talk about branding and the power of branding, people often think that I'm going to talk about the external factors, but I'm talking about the internal factors. Your personal life experience is what makes you who you are today, and your brand is you. So own the journey, own the life experiences, because this makes you who you are. This is why you are here in this community today. Just imagine if those things that bothered you or negatively impacted you didn't happen. Would you be standing here? Would you be doing what you're doing? How many believe that there was something that drew you to do the work that you're doing today? So owning your life experiences and not putting them over here when they're really a part of who you are, because that's what people do. They take it and they put it over here as if it has nothing to do with them. But I will tell you that everything that makes you up as a person contributes to the brand, because you are the brand. Your experiences, your needs, your strengths, your weaknesses, and that unicorn capability that you have that distinguishes you from someone else. That makes your brand what it is and make you who you are. But what I've encountered is that because we've had these life experiences and you have created somewhat of a brand, that we tend not to want to show up in our brand. Because guess what we do? We hide. We hide behind the computer. We hide behind the curtain. We choose not to make our face the brand for whatever reason, because of those traumatic experience, negative life experience, things that happen to you, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, all the things. We hide. But no one's going to know how great you are if you do not show up. No one's going to know how great you do the work you do if you don't show up. Telling your story matters, because stories come from or will create connection. Just like we wrote our stories in this book, it's going to create some kind of connection with our audience. And through my experiences, I've learned, and that's just one experience that I've shared with you today, that helped me to kind of stand, not kind of, but stand firm and discover my purpose. That's all I have to say for now. I don't know if I ended early or not, but does anybody have any questions?
Leslie, you've still got 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, I didn't
You
hear
still
that.
have 5 minutes.
Oh, I still have 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question for
Well,
Leslie.
Take it.
I have a
You have a
question for
question?
Leslie. Yes, I do.
Yes,
May I ask?
yes.
So Leslie, what did you do to help yourself pull through the process of grief and loss? And I'm sure like feeling sadness, depression, anxiety, and still having to take care of this wonderful baby that I know him, and he is so charming. He calls me cutie cute. So I feel so special because he is so charming and so loving and amazing. How do you pull yourself through that dark time in your life? What did you physically or emotionally, what did you do to get where you are right now?
God, I gave myself time because people like to rush grief. They feel like there's a time that you have to stop grieving or you have to pull yourself together. You know, I gave myself time. I cried a lot. But giving myself time to feel the feelings and not question those feelings, if those feelings were real or I just took the time to just kind of be there in the moment. And when I was in that moment of grief although he was the reason I was grieving, he was also the reason for me just getting myself better. And at even 17 years later, there are times that I still grieve certain things, but I learned to get support throughout that. Therapy has helped me a lot. Therapy has helped me a lot in my life to become vulnerable enough to come and tell this story. So every step, I can't even find the words to even tell you guys today. But it was a hard journey of being sad. And I didn't know, it became a normal for me until I felt better. And I was like, dang, that was the low of the lows. And it gave me perspective on how people in depression are when they learn how to live with their depression as if they're normal. And then if they don't have that moment of like, oh, I can possibly feel better, how they just kind of stay there. But it was a long journey, and it took a lot of me giving myself time and the permission to feel those feelings that I had. And the same thing I would encourage anyone else to is give yourself time to feel and trust yourself that those feelings are accurate feelings and it's okay to feel that way. So that's the answer to that question. Any more questions? Anybody?
I have one question. I had
Yes.
the honor of sitting at Leslie's table yesterday, and I commented to her about how I thought I appreciated the fact that she included her son in part of her story, because I shared with her my boyfriend has a granddaughter with special needs. And I think not until just this moment, I realized how strong you are to admit grief of your child. And you just taught me to reframe my whole thought perspective on what my boyfriend's daughter must be going through, and how strong it is as a woman to have to admit grieving the loss of a child when he's still here. So my applause to you of everything. And I don't think you give yourself enough credit for all the strength that you have. And thank you for coming out and sharing today. Just thank you.
Thank you. And that just goes to say that when we're going through a difficult time, it's through these tough times where we do find our strength. It's through that tough time where we feel like we can't pull through now one more thing. And there it is, that breakthrough does happen. And we look back and we're like, I never thought I would make it through that. And it's that very special. That's why I say to embrace it all. Because if those moments don't happen, we can't find our strength. We can't find our strength, and we can't, the next thing that comes is like, we can't handle it.
Leslie, thank you so much for your encouragement and for your vulnerability and for your sharing of this story. I know that it certainly touched me, and I can just see in faces, around the squares that everybody has certainly been very touched. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. We're going to take about a 10-minute break. We're a couple minutes behind.